We still good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Perfect.
Uh, All right. All right. Welcome, Brian Payne, to the Money Buys Freedom podcast. I'm really glad to have you on. And, I really loved your story, kind of how you got into everything. Can you kind of tell everyone, I guess, obviously, who you are and what brought Furnished Finder? Because I'm just want to jump right into it. How, like, because it seems like what spurred that idea. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Really, really great to be here, truly. And yeah, so Furnish Finder was sort of born. My wife and I and my brother-in-law were around, or probably we were renting to travel nurses. I was in the medical field myself, but I was a real estate investor as well. So we were just buying places, and since I was in the medical field, I was kind of surrounded myself with a lot of nurses. Worked for Boston Scientific at the time, which is a cardiac device company. So
uh,
I mean, that was part of my lifestyle, always working. So, while the doctors may be closing up after a defibrillator implant, you're talking to the people in the room, and a lot of times it's like you have a new travel nurse on the floor or in the room, and yeah. So we would,
okay.
yeah, it was always interesting in that the nurses always said that housing was always the biggest problem. So we said, oh, then let's meet that need, right? So we bought,
Yeah.
I think, about 12 places between California and Texas, and then and they said, what do you have here? What do you have here? What do you have here? And we realized, holy smokes, like this little thing that we fell into, they're going everywhere. So
Yeah.
kind of understood that market, understood their travel patterns, and then built a platform, realizing that, hey, if landlords like us like to renting to travel nurses because they stay for 3 months at a time, they're really good tenants, no parties, and they leave when they're supposed to, and places they're just pretty no nonsense tenants because they're there to work, right?
Yeah.
So that was our model, and then we said, hey, there's got to be other landlords out there that are looking for these traveling professional type of tenants. We started in 2014, and
Okay.
then pivoted to this business model that we're in 2016, and now we're up to over 200,000 listings
Oh
from
wow.
landlords all over the U.S. Yep, about 13 million travelers coming through our doors a year.
So kind of to take it back from the beginning, like you said, you were at Boston Scientific.
Yeah.
What really got you into real estate originally? Then.
I mean, originally, I just knew it was the path that I needed to get to. I mean, you so many of us and your listeners had or have W2 jobs, right? So I was looking for a way out, and I was literally praying, like, show me a way,
Yeah.
show me what's next, right? Because
Right.
this just isn't going to work long term. Honestly, that lifestyle of being a medical device rep, although the money's really good, it was tearing my family apart. We were
Yeah.
young parents at that time, and it was really difficult on my wife. Um, yeah, she called me the phantom husband. Never a good thing to be called. So I knew I had to do something different and work towards, um, freedom and a way out. And for us, this was it for us. But real estate is always that thing that I've looked to for that type of financial freedom, because you're getting the that passive income. Not that obviously it's a business. You do work when
Yeah.
you're full time in this business, but um, you control your schedule, and there's so many things that you're benefiting from when you're in control. I mean, it's a mindset too. Like, no, you're not working for anybody else, right? So it's like, I need to get up to 10 units. What is that number, right? That you need to get to? I need to get to 10 units. I can, I'm going to put them on Furnished Finder. I'm going to work in midterm rentals, and that's going to be my focus. And I'm going to earn 1x over a traditional rent. And then I'm going to refi, buy another one. And then I'm going to pay them off. And then I'm going to, have a
Yeah.
plan, and it can work. It can work.
Because someone in my family works for Boston Scientific, and that's
Oh,
what
no
the
way.
schedule's crazy. Yeah, it's like it can be early morning surgeries, kind of random at
Uh,
night. Like it's kind of all over the place.
yeah, when I started, we had a pager, for anybody old enough to remember those days, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, it was, we had a pager, and then obviously, you're just getting text and calls. Hey, need you at this hospital. Need you over here. Hey, there's a patient over here, and you're always running, and it was difficult because, yeah, taking two cars to a just a regular dinner in town is hard on the family. So, but it's a great, an amazing company. I still own stock and stuff, and I have a lot of
And
friends there.
you're at the mercy of the doctors, aren't you? Like
Yeah, it's just the
you have to go
timing,
by their
right?
schedules.
Where,
Yeah.
yeah, and then it's like, yeah, you drive somewhere, 2 hours to get there, you're ready, and then they're like, oh, the patient ate, so
Yeah.
sorry, we're not going to do it today. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or they canceled and didn't tell you.
yeah. Oh, that's always fun. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
cool that
hear
we
this.
can
I hear the
share those
stories. So,
experiences. That's funny.
but so take me to your first rental. How'd you get it? What was that one like? What was
Oh,
your first rental
that's
like?
easy. So, Lisa is my wife and CFO of the company. Um, excuse me. So, yeah, Lisa's the CFO of the company, and she's my wife. And when we started the company, she had a condo, right? So I
Yeah.
just moved to Bakersfield, California. That's where we met. What up, Bako? And then, um, and then, so yeah, eventually, once we were getting married, she's moving into my place, and I was like, well, what are you going to do with your 2 bedroom condo? And she goes, I'm just going to put it on Craigslist. I go,
Yeah.
furnished? What are you going to do with the furniture? She's like, yeah, furnished. See what happens. So we got contacted by a staffing company. I think it was called Advantage RN at the same time, at that time, and maybe, yeah, I think they're still the same company. And they
So
had, yeah,
so all this started because your wife was like, screw it.
that's
Just throw
it.
it in
I
Craigslist.
mean, all we wanted to do is go on our honeymoon, right? So it was like,
Yeah.
yeah, do whatever. List your place, and let's go on our honeymoon. So we went on the honeymoon. Had a tenant, and then it basically, you know, once we got home and a month or two afterwards, they said, hey, I've got another travel nurse after this one. Do you mind if I just swap them out? We said, yeah, no problem. We'll clean it, and
Yeah.
they're ready to go. Here's the code. And then it happened again, and we're going, wait a second, like, how many are out here?
Yeah.
How big is this market? So yeah, we would put up Craigslist ads and just leave them up just to get an idea of how many tenant leads are coming to our area, and just to have an idea of the market. And then once we did that, we're going, guys, we have a business here.
So what year was that when you put originally listed on Craigslist?
2012.
2012. Okay.
Yeah.
And was it a company that was putting the new travel nurses in there, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of many, right? There's probably 250 medical staffing companies out there.
Oh,
You've
okay.
heard, yeah, and they're amazing. It's a big, very big business. And they're responsible. They have contracts with hospitals, and they're responsible for taking care of all the credentialing and logistics for placing travel nurses in hospitals for 3 month, 2 3 month contracts nationwide. It's a
Yeah.
it's a it's a very big business, and they do an amazing job and amazing service, um, because our nation's healthcare system depends on nurses.
Yeah. So is that kind of, let's say for instance, let's say you got your number of rentals, you wanted to start Furnished Finders. Was that relationship like crucial for you building out Furnished Finder? Like how did that all plan out? Like, did you have
It
a
was a
web background?
really organic. No, not at all. I mean, we just um it was super organic. It was just like, look, we're missing the bigger picture. And it was funny because at that point, I think we had 12 units, like I said, in California and Texas. And we said, guys, like if we are successful in this, then we're creating our own competition, right?
Yeah.
So because at that point there was only a handful of midterm rentals in any city, and so we were setting up shop wherever we could and just cleaning up. But we said, look, the demand is way bigger than this, and ultimately these travelers need desperately need inventory. It was to the point to where some travelers could not go and do their job, could not care for patients without housing, right? And hotels are great. We have amazing hotel partners. Anybody can get hotel discounts on our site as well, but not all travelers want to stay in a hotel for 3 months as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it was just it was born very organically, and it was not easy. It was a very long, hard process, many pivots. Um, we were bootstrapped. We took a that was our approach. We felt that we were very kind of early in this industry and said that we can probably do it organically. Not every company can do that, and very impacted industries. So we flew under the radars as much as we could, built up inventory, and then so now a lot of people are going, hey, where these guys come from? How do they get so much inventory?
Yeah.
It's just because we've been doing it for since 2016 and doing it organically. So all of the properties on Furnished Finder, they're not integrated from other providers. We're the source of those properties. So it's really pretty unique, and we're something we're pretty proud of.
So how do you actually start originally? Like did you have to get like a tech person to like map
Mhm.
out the areas just kind of like on like Rain or like Home Snap, or how did that work? Because I'm not
Yeah, yeah, I
technology
get
inclined
you.
like
All you need is
whatsoever.
an idea. All you need is an idea, and people, and some money. You know, um, uh, you don't have to, and you can compete. I mean, you don't have to. Yes, you're going to go up against some very big companies and that have millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's really really difficult to compete. But if you have an idea, you can build it, and you can start, and you can and you can do it organically. We're proof of that. But yep, I mean, for us anyway, we found people online that we trusted, and ultimately, it's a family business. So I mentioned that Lisa, my wife, is CFO. Brother-in-law is also in the business as well. He has other businesses, but he's a co-founder as well. And yeah, so we built it together. We built it organically. Um, and yeah, I would just there's no secret. Like, you have to find somebody who knows how to do the stuff, and you have to pay
Yeah.
them. So you have to have a plan, otherwise it'll bleed you dry. You have to give everything. So
Yeah.
just to if I can back up real quick and just tell a quick story, like it was a matter of I told you about Boston Scientific. So you know I was blessed to make some good money over there as a W-2 employee, and have some in retirement and have some in savings, right? So we built up a nice little nest egg of, I think I was there for maybe 14 years, right? So but we we went through all of it to start this, and all of it,
Oh wow.
and down to almost like 1 month's rent. We were living on it. We went all in, like quit the W-2 job. I would recommend, if you're doing something like this, stay at your W-2 job like as long as you can, right? Because once you pull that plug, you can't plug it back in, and everything stops, and you have to rely on what you got. And basically, for us, it was that we were bleeding out, and things were getting really difficult, and again, praying for a solution.
Yeah.
And right at the 11th hour, we made some changes that started to make a dent, and started to and we started earning back up to zero. And that was still to this day like our biggest celebration, biggest party. Like, I think as a founder, you set goals and you achieve them, and it's great, but nothing is better than getting to the point to where you meet all of your costs at the beginning. It was a pretty special time.
So starting Furnished Finder, let's say, just at the very beginning, working with a family, you gotta convince, let's say, convince your wife. Maybe she was just like, "Why not?" And and then like your brother-in-law, how did convincing like that relationship go? Because I always heard, I mean, I don't necessarily believe, but I always heard that said you should never do business with family. What's your
Yeah.
take on
Yeah,
take
we're
on that?
pretty unique. I will say that we're pretty unique. That we love each other and get along very well, respect each other, and trust each other. Um,
Yeah,
and for me, there's no one better to go into business than somebody you trust and love, right?
true.
But I know there's a flip side to that coin, without a
Yeah.
doubt. Not every personality, not every person, not every family member. I mean, I talk to so many people, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, aren't you guys just killing each other every day?" And I'm like, "No, no, no. Like, she does her thing, and I do my thing, and then we work together, right? But we're doing completely different things." Um, uh, in the business. So I for us it just works. I can't promise you with all of the flat family dynamics it'll work for you, but for us it works.
So just starting out Furnished Finder, how did you distinguish like, hey, like here's my role, here's your role, here's my role. This is we're
That's a
gonna
good
bring
question.
everyone's money together. How did y'all distinguish that? Because that's why it seems like a lot of people when I talk in business fights is because there's no one really knows what they're doing and everyone's stepping on each other. Everyone expects this person to do this, but they didn't do this because the roles aren't identified. How did y'all
Yeah.
tackle that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that there's a very easy way, but it starts with your articles of incorporation, or your documents, right? Your business documents, and you're gonna have to decide who gets what. Um, and shoot, yeah, no easy way. I think for us, we were just looking to prove certain things out, hit a milestone, prove it out, hit a milestone. So gosh, I wish I could answer the question, but a lot of it was just trial by fire.
Yeah,
Going, what are you good at? Do you want to do this? Well, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do a podcast. Well, shoot, I guess I could do it. I don't want to do it, but I'll do it. So it's like, okay, you do that and I do this, and well, you're better at numbers than I am. So, and I trust you, and you're great. You don't want me doing the book. So yeah, I think our, I guess, talents just sort of rose to the
yeah.
top, and then it was evident. But yeah, it's real gray in the beginning for sure.
So a lot of Sunday evening fights, like around the table, dinner
Yeah.
table.
I always say, yeah, that Monday, it was like the month end,
Yeah,
and this is early on in and Lisa would do the books, and I would come downstairs, and she's been up for since 2 or 3 in the morning, and papers everywhere on this round table. And I come down, and I'm just thinking, oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm gonna get a cup of coffee, and she turns her head, and you could just see tears in front of her calculator, computer, stacks of paperwork, and it's like, oh, is it that time of month again? And the time of month is when you're closing books. I mean, and she's
yeah,
like, this isn't working, Brian. Like,
yeah,
it's not working. We're dying. Look here. Like, if this could tell you anything, it could tell you that you're laying on the ground and you're bleeding out. Like, you have to do
yeah.
something. And it was to the point where it's like, look, within a month or two, we're going to have to get jobs.
Dang.
So, yeah, I wish I could say it's an easy journey, the entrepreneur one. And I'm a late stage entrepreneur. Like, I always had that kind of spirit, but we didn't start I didn't start the business until, what was I, maybe, what, 40? Yeah, 40 something. So yeah, I mean, you don't have to be, you know, straight out of college, the boy genius type of thing. But, um, you know, but you do
Hey, when
have
the
to have,
opportunity presents itself.
yeah, you have to have a good idea. You got to have a plan, and you got to have the intestinal fortitude, as my buddy tells me,
Yeah.
to see it through.
Let me ask you this. So I'm in business with my wife, and the one thing I think it's
Sweet.
like it's kind of a bad thing that you can't vent to your coworker to your wife because
Who
you, well,
says?
you it is your wife. So that's why I was curious. How do y'all handle
As
that?
long as
Let's
it's
say
not
like
about her, right?
yeah, no. So let's say like you have issue with your wife in your business, but you can't vent to your wife about your wife. How do y'all handle how do you handle that?
I mean, shoot, yeah, you're exposed.
Yeah.
Your weaknesses are exposed, and your pride will have to take a back seat. Truly, because for us, I mean, it's just all out there. She knows where you're good, and she knows where you're bad, and you just have to be okay with it. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, for, yeah, I don't know.
So just to jump right into it, how much? Because you said because it's a tech company. I've always heard tech companies, you burn through cash like crazy. So what was y'all's initial investment, and was the overhead really bad at the beginning? I was curious about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were bootstrapped, um, a little over $500,000 to start, and yeah, we just, like I said, we had to hit kind of proof points, and then we had to pivot real quick. And you start burning. I mean, you have to. For us, we saw that cash dwindle real quick, and so every hiring decision, we knew that we had to scale, right? And everybody
Yeah.
wants to scale, but you have to do it in a very intentional way. Um, a friend of mine said, "Hey, don't use the word scrappy," but I mean, I don't see another
Yeah.
word. It's just like, look, it's all hands on deck. Everybody's doing everything all the time. Um,
Because kind of how
so
y'all make money is based on like more people using your site. So you have to build out these whole systems, and then you have to get people to use your site.
yeah, it's
So
all about the systems. I mean, you see a website like ours, and you go, oh, cool, yep, there's some nice blog articles, and there's some, wow, I can go and contact an owner directly and book direct and save money on booking fees, and book a monthly furnished housing. But what you don't see is like, you know billions of lines of code, and systems and
yeah,
processes and teams underneath it. Behind the scenes, we're at a team of about 175 people. Customer service, sales, quality, IT primarily. Um, so you have to have people, but you have to grow in a very responsible way. And if you do it too quickly, um, that could hurt you too.
I always heard like when you start a company, you want your company to believe in the same values that and principles that you believed in. What values did you do when you were starting to bring on people more on people on your team
Yeah.
that you
I,
looked for?
I mean, for us, I mean, and you bring up a really good point. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Robert Nunez, and when we were at CHPA, and I was telling him about our culture, and how it's practically impossible to build a culture in a remote environment, but yet we've done it. Um, and so and he was very interested in how we did it. In fact, he said he wanted to write a book, but um, I said, yeah, you go, and you can do that.
So how do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think every decision that you make and every interaction has to come through that mission statement. Ours was like, we care, we care about making a difference in the lives of, not only our customers and our users, but our employees as well.
Yeah.
So that was our point. We had a lot of amazing people. We have a lot of amazing. Our team is truly amazing. I'm so proud of them. But we also have like just in anytime you get people together, a certain percentage is going to have mental health problems, like they're maybe
Yeah.
depressed or going through a difficult time or things like that. And those are the times where as a company, as a CEO, founder, whatever your role is, that's a time when you can come alongside that person and say, look, you're not a number. We care about you, and we're going to do this for you, or whatever we can do, just to let them know that, hey, you're not alone. We have a lot, our workload, our call volume, and such like that. It's very high.
Yeah.
So we know we don't want to burn them out. So, um, yeah,
So, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, well, at least my understanding and me talking to a lot of people in business and big companies, a lot of people feel like when the company gets too big, it's hard for them to really feel like your employer gives a crap about you. So it's like, how do you just show your employees that, hey, we care about you? We're not all about business. How do you show them, like, because I always heard Richard Branson, I think Richard Branson said it, it's like, if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of you. So what processes, how do you go about showing your employees that we're here for you, we care about you, kind of thing, to build that team to help build your company?
yeah. I mean, I think the first thing is that we do customer service, sales, and all that. And that's primarily the whole team. Um, on that team, we get together every year, and we have a big conference, big blowout, a lot of education, a lot of fun, a lot of activities. We love being with them. They love being with us, and we know their families. We go horseback riding, explore different areas, and it's just it's amazing. I mean, other than that, we just invest in them, like what they need. So again, we're 100% remote company. We're 100% remote before it was cool. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, so our systems, back to that, our systems and processes, not only on for the website and the forward facing stuff, our the systems and processes are very important in terms of running our teams as well. Um, yeah, but I
S-
mean, one of the
s-
things that we used is Right Now Media. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's a Christian based organization, but it's for work. They've got a for work branded account, and it's just a lot of really positive things and stories and educational courses that they can go through and help them with some of the life events that they're going through. We have like psychologists on staff, and whatever we can do, whatever they're going through. But ultimately, as things bubble up to us, like we do truly care and intervene whenever we can and help our reps.
So I was always curious, like we're on the process part, and so I've read the book Traction, really love the book Traction. It talks about like when you have a big company trying to find like measurables to make sure that you keep track and you hit your goals. Do you have any like specific like things that you track every single week or maybe month that determines like, hey, we're hitting our goal, we want to this many more consumers a month? Like, what's
Yeah,
your little measurables that you try to hit, like, to help
gosh.
y'all grow?
There, I mean, there are so many I couldn't even tell you. It's not just watching the sales. You have to
Yeah.
watch, the flow, right? The lead flow. Where are they coming from? Paid or organic? And then, um, you know, what's working? How do those leads compare day by day, week by week, month by month? Um, and then and that's just for the sales aspect. And then when it comes to personnel, hey, are people showing up on time? Are people doing what they're supposed to do? Are they hitting their call volumes? Are they And the same with customer service. And luckily we have teams and managers that that track all of that. I don't have to track all of that. Um, but yes, I would say if you're, I guess, starting out or any part of business that you're in, make sure you truly have a good handle on your data foundation, how to measure, make sure you're able to pull reports and get the data you need to in order to make those types of decisions, because that information is crucial to learning about where you are, learning about market trends, industry trends, things out of your control, things in your control, where you're blowing it, where you're doing well, what you need to focus on. um, yeah, those details are absolutely crucial. So I guess every founder has to, um, do it for themselves and figure it out. But you need to have a system for sure.
So when you originally started Furnished Finder, did you think it was going to be grow to what it is now?
That's a great question. I think when you, I think we knew we had a great
Hey,
idea.
fingers crossed, hoping.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we had a great idea,
Yeah,
right? But you just never know how far it will go and how many people are thinking like you. So no, I guess would be the answer. Was like, no, we didn't know how big it would go. If like, is this going to be something that's going to support us? We knew that it would support us and our family, and we'd be able to make a living from it. But would it take us here? Would it take us, um, you know, to where we plan on going in the next 5 years? Um, yeah, we had no idea. And truly, once the world shut down, everybody, it was maddening business
yeah.
wise as well. So it's like it really made you think and focus. And it for us, it really shed a light on this industry, on our healthcare workers, on and then because we had a moment, I'm going to say, but a couple months at least, um, a quarter or more, where leisure travel shut down and
Yeah.
business travel shut down, and we were right in the middle, and we were not shut down. So we had a lot of gained a lot of partners and got a lot of interest in that time. But yeah, yeah, but yeah, it's
I'm
amazing. The short answer is no, we didn't. You can't predict some of this stuff. No.
so I'm glad you mentioned it. What is y'all's 5 year goal? Where do y'all see Furnished Finder in 5 years? Are you gonna have an app? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, we've got an app now. I mean, we're gonna just continue to do what we're doing. We love our partners, so we're gonna invest in our partners. Um, we're gonna just continue to invest into um, travelers and more features for landlords, and just be a better company. Where do I think we're gonna be? I mean, gosh, I don't know. I mean, whether there will be a strategic type of acquisition, I could see when we've had conversations there. We've again, I mentioned earlier, we haven't taken outside money, although we've had conversations
Yeah.
down that road. It's just not. We don't want to necessarily lose that control that we need to answer to anybody, but we'll have those conversations. But I think a strategic type of acquisition would make better sense to somebody who values us, to somebody who sees truly where with the position that we are in the industry that we created. But again, to your earlier question, we can't predict that stuff.
Yeah. So getting to your customers, because I'm a customer.
Yeah, thank you for
What is
that.
some of the feedbacks that you've gotten in order, like complaints, how y'all tackle those issues? Like, what's kind of the feedbacks y'all get from like your customers, so like landlords,
Yeah, we don't get
investors, and
any
stuff?
complaints at all. No, I'm just teasing. Um, yeah, no, I think, gosh, where do I want to start? First of all, I love hearing from customers, and I love even when they've got feedback and opportunities for improvement.
Yeah.
That helps us. It sharpens us. So please tell us what we can be doing better for you, and hopefully you're starting to see some of the updates and launches and new features that we're offering. Um, and you say, well, yeah, Furnish Finder's going in the right direction. Um, but ultimately, we're just going to keep delivering that. And I think what we're hearing from our customers are basically, we're hearing that, hey, sometimes travel nurses can be budget travelers, right?
Yeah.
So say you're a corporate housing provider, or maybe you're going after the corporate housing market. So we hear, hey, a lot of times your tenant leads are for less amount than what my property is. So and that's why we're going to all these different conferences this year in 2023. um, we're going to National Apartment Association. We did the CHPA. We're going to National Association of Realtors, things like this, and really expand our footprint to bring landlords more tenants ultimately. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's one of
Because
the
I think
things we're
that's
going
the
to.
biggest fear when it comes to like midterm rentals is afraid of the unknown. It's they're like, okay, we get this one in there. Well, what about the next one? Like, what if the next one, like, kind of, because that's what I think the long term. It's like, oh, you see it there. Okay, at least I'm guaranteed a year. The month thing is a lot fears a lot of people because what happens if they miss a couple months or misses a couple months? That was always like, I guess. I
Yeah, I
guess
mean,
that might be my fear and a couple other people's.
it's true. I mean, but you have to be competitively priced, right? And we're
Yeah.
in a market right now where inventory is swelling. So if you go to Furnish Finder and you type in your city, you're probably seeing a lot more competition than you did over the last couple of years. So,
Yeah.
you know, the question is, are you doing the same thing that you've done over the last couple of years? Are you seeing your occupancy slide a little bit? If you are, you need to do something different. I mean, you can't just set it and forget it and go, no, this is what I charge. Well, markets are fluid, and if you're
Yeah.
not, you it can affect your occupancy. So, as a business owner and a landlord, you should be always looking and saying, hey, am I still relevant? Am I still competitive as to compared to everybody else that's going in? And if you need to make an adjustment, in your dashboard. Um, uh, I would say some other recommendations would be to, number one, make sure you have a forward availability date, an availability date in the future. So you can do that with your iCal. So if you do an iCal through Airbnb or VRBO, something like that, you can go ahead um, and sync that iCal. You can also just go on manually and set your next availability date. When you get a tenant from Furnish Finder, congrats, but take the extra step and say, okay, well, looks like I've booked somebody through December. Make sure you go in and set that next availability date, because people are searching by date on our site.
Yeah.
So if you just go dormant and your availability is in the past, at some point your listing is not going to even show up at all, right?
I gotcha.
Until you come back. So at least this way, your listing is set, your availability is set, and when people are searching for that particular month, you're going to show up. So, and then the second thing would just be, hey, go into your dashboard, check your leads, and then and respond. So these are the things that we want you to do. If you don't do them, that means that's telling us, hey, I don't need you right now. I already have a tenant. Because
Yeah.
if you truly had a tenant, or if you truly needed a tenant, you'd be on our site, you'd be in your dashboard, you'd be viewing leads, you'd be responding to leads, um, and um, and then you're going to get rewarded for that. But if you ghost us and you ghost the tenants, then that tells us, hey, Tyler doesn't need a tenant right now, so we're going to lower you.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, so how do you get where, like, let's say on your site, how can you really, or you said be more active, put your availability in the future
Professional
so people can
photos.
see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I'll say this, guys, like, you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of investment on this place. Don't cheap out over $200 to get professional photos. It's like, building a cake and not putting icing on it, or gosh, so many analogies, but it's like, it's a differentiator.
Yeah.
There's no reason you should be taking pictures with your phone. I don't care if even if you have the iPhone 14, you're editing photos. Okay, maybe you got some good light, you can probably do it. I'm not saying you can't, but
Use Snapchat filters.
yeah, or okay, sure, make stars or whatever. No,
Yeah.
spend the $200, call a local real estate photographer, Google it. We're going to be launching a system here pretty soon that's going to, allow you to connect with one and schedule it. But in
Okay.
the meantime, please get a photographer, or please get a professional photographer for your place. If you truly are interested in, you don't want your occupancy to suffer. Um, if you're truly in this industry for the long haul, you truly are trying to professionalize, then do that. That's the one thing you should do.
So for the travel nurses that come to your site, what's usually the kind of house are they looking for? Like, are they looking for, most of them searching like, oh, we're looking for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath? Like what, like on the data side, what's the volume of people looking for when it comes to um furnished rentals?
Yeah, I mean it's it starts anywhere at a studio 1 bedroom and it goes all the way up to 4 bedrooms. So um where maybe at the very beginning of this, what we were buying in 2014, 2012 was, 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms, right? um
Yeah.
but in this age of remote work, digital nomads, and just traveling professionals, it's very common for, say, a travel nurse to be, coming with her husband or boyfriend, that's a digital nomad or remote worker. There's a family of four that they're moving. Maybe they're in between places, and so they need a place. So there's not one property type anymore. Like early on, when
Yeah.
I would say, hey, we're 90% travel nurses back in the day. Um, I would say, yeah, get a 1 bedroom, get a 2 bedroom, something like that. They could pair up. 3 bedroom would be good. But now, we're seeing our travel nurse numbers, um, are and other types of travelers are about neck and neck, about 50-50. So even though we're seeing record numbers of travel nurses still, it just speaks to the demand of the industry and the demand for midterm furnished rentals, because you're seeing other families, you know, engineers, professors, doctors, other type engineers, or what other types of traveling professionals coming, and they need 1 month, 3 month, 6 month stays. So
Yeah.
short answer, get into something that makes financial sense. If it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, great, do it. You'll be able to fill it.
So just like a perspective of you as a Furnished Finder CEO and you as the midterm rental investor, what should you how do you really stage your house? Do you have like make sure you have absolutely everything, almost like a short-term rental? Like how exactly would you do your midterm rental to appeal to?
Yeah, it's a great question, and not much different. Let's say you're an Airbnb host already, right? Not much difference. I mean, other than that, I would just say, the little touches, maybe a box fan, because it provides a lot of noise at
Yeah.
night, and it just drowns out street noise if you're close to a street. Think about curtains. Like sometimes you have day sleepers. They work at night and they sleep during the day sometimes. So, um, I know in oil and ag and healthcare, you get a lot of that as well. So, yeah, you may want to consider blackout curtains, noisemakers, box fans, um, things like that. But really, not much different than you're already doing for your Airbnb.
Okay. I guess for like go back to the marketing aspect, are you are you seeing like the I guess the overall volume? Is any of these people kind of like 2 or 3 travel nurses, they're gonna go together, or like do you see a lot of people like booking longer than a couple of months? Because that's what my fear always was, is, oh, if they've been built for a month, now I have to plan for the next month and then the next month, and that's a lot of time. So it's like what's the average stay usually for when people do like a furnished rental? Do y'all
Yeah,
calculate that?
an average stay is between 3 and 4 months. I mean, they're on a contract, right?
Yeah,
Now, contracts can get canceled midstream. They obviously can do that, but they're, most of the time you're booking somebody there who's working on a contract. Maybe it's a local infrastructure contract. Um, Maybe it's a healthcare contract. Whatever the situation is, a lot of the times they're there for a prescribed amount of time. um, so an average length of stay is about 3 to 4 months. Um, you can definitely take a month, but most of the time you're looking about, um, usually with a 3 month average stay, that equals to about, you know 4 travelers a year. So pretty nice in terms of the turnover, wear and tear on your property. Not certainly not as much as a, running your place like a hotel.
yeah. So I guess for like more price wise, are you seeing? I think someone told me one time midterm rentals, like month to month furnished rentals, are like almost double long term rentals, like month to month. Is that true, or is that kind of what y'all see, or what do
Yeah,
y'all
it
think?
depends on the market, but yeah, I mean, you usually they say somewhere around 1.5 is probably a fair, um, is what they're saying. Usually 1.5, sometimes
Yeah,
two if you're really working it. You've got multiple properties. Maybe you're working to, like more of a um, corporate housing provider where you're taking contracts with staffing companies or whatever, and you're trying to place all of their workers and things like that. But yeah, anyway, traditional, let's say if that's one, you can probably get, you know, 1.5x with Furnish Finder. Obviously, Airbnb shorter. For vacation rental, you're going to get more, but there's a cost to
yeah.
that.
Um, so for y'all's relationships on bringing travel nurses, corporate housing people, do y'all have like partnerships, like third party partnerships? Like, hey, we have relationships with these providers, we have a relationship with insurance companies, like that they search
Yeah,
our site, or
fantastic question. I appreciate you asking it. Um, so, and I apologize, I'm a little under the weather, but we're making it work.
yeah,
Thanks. Great
appreciate it.
questions. Yeah, so KeyCheck is the answer. KeyCheck is a company that we started a couple years back, and it's basically what our approach to, our to this is like saying, hey, let's allow travelers to go direct and book direct with the landlords, but let's give the landlords all the tools they need, to secure that booking. And that's where they get all those tools, is at keycheck.com. Or
Uh,
on your Furnish Finder dashboard, all those tools are linked there as well. But anybody can go and use Keycheck. So essentially, like if you want to do a tenant screening, which you should always do a tenant screening,
yeah,
um, have a system and always stick to it so you don't get burned. Pro tip. Um, so yes, so you're going to do a tenant screening, and so you go to KeyCheck and you have an account. You put in the tenant's information. They get a link. They go ahead and put in their personal information. It goes directly to TransUnion, and we don't get that social. It's very protected. We don't even get that report. It goes directly to the landlord. So the landlord makes a renting decision based on, credit history, bankruptcies, evictions, judgments, liens, and more importantly, the payment history. Right? That's what you want to know when you're making a renting decision. Are they paying their bills on time? So, yep. So you'll have that information. You can make a renting decision and say, yep, you're approved or declined. Say the next step would be a lease. You can also purchase a lease. It would be specific to your
So
state.
KeyCheck is like a screening software inside of Furnished
Yeah.
Finder that.
So, yep,
Okay.
KeyCheck has all those tools. So, just real quick, it's got tenant screening, it's got custom state specific leases, it's got online rent payment, and like renters insurance and those types of products, like you had mentioned as well.
So do you find a lot? So I talk to property managers all the time, and we kind of do a little bit of property management. Um, there's a lot of people faking like pay stubs, faking all these other
No
things.
need. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does your software kind of root out
Well,
that
we're
crap?
integrated with TransUnion, and if you've heard of Smart Move, that's essentially what we've built into the system. That almost exact system. So we're making sure they are who they say they are, and giving you all that information so you can make an accurate renting decision. Does,
So it verifies their employment, all that stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they need. Yeah, it does. I mean, they need it. That's all listed in the report that a landlord would get.
Oh, I gotcha. So because you do midterm rentals, have you ever had a bad scenario where you couldn't get like the person to stop paying and
Man, you're asking
couldn't get
good
out?
questions. Um, no, the answer is no. So
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
yeah, we've probably hosted personally, not this is before Furnish Finder, like when
I'll
we were
knock on
building
wood
it.
for you.
Yeah, no. I mean, we've never had a tenant that we needed to evict. It's practically non-existent. Maybe we got lucky 100 times, but the numbers don't lie. If we take a
Yeah.
hundred tenants over whatever 10 years,
Dang.
we've never had to evict one of them. These are traveling professionals. They're here to work.
Yeah.
They work for um, 10, 12-hour shifts a day. They come home, they make a meal, have a glass of wine, and then turn on, Netflix, and then go to bed, and
Yeah.
then they do it all
That's
over. And
true.
then they're working maybe 4 days a week, right? 5 days a week, and then mostly 4 days a week, and then they have one day to catch up on their sleep, and then the other they usually go and explore the area, and then they start a shift. It's like kind of like a fireman type of schedule. So, nah, they're good tenants for the most part, but they're still humans, so you still need to
Yeah.
screen them and put them in a lease to protect yourself and to protect them.
And you can get leases from KeyCheck and stuff like that, examples
Yeah,
of.
yeah, it's all
Okay.
there. Yeah, whatever you need to secure a tenant, it's on. You can get it on KeyCheck.
So if you never had like an eviction issues, what are some of the issues that y'all face? Like maybe you as a furnished finder company, maybe you as a midterm rental investor. What's some of the issues that y'all have had to overcome?
Okay, so if I'm a landlord, I mean, the only thing I would say would be like, I don't know, maybe damages, right?
Yeah.
Stuff gets broken. Um, you're making good money here, right? So you can go, oh, hey, I've got a security deposit for that reason. Um, but again, just like in our business, we have to have systems and processes. I would encourage you to have systems and processes too. You know,
Yeah.
if you have one coffee table, like if you're scaling up and you have multiple rentals, if you're just renting out your back place, it's fine. But if somebody breaks a mirror, well, Hobby Lobby, you can get a mirror for $25. It's not that huge of a deal. Um, so do it in a way that you can replace things quickly. If you need to take it out of their damage deposit, but we were always really lenient when it comes to that stuff. And unless it was super egregious, they would get their entire, damage deposit back.
Hmm. So let's say, for instance, so for over here, I'm in Virginia, and we have a lot of midterm rentals. Are you seeing any slowdown with people it being like almost oversaturated? Are you seeing like a like a slowdown with rent prices for midterm rentals? Do y'all track any of that information or?
Yeah, I mean prices. I think with competition, right?
Yeah,
price is going, it might take a hit in depending on your area. So I would be aware of that and knowing that we're possibly in that situation. Um, and like I mentioned before, if you're doing the same thing that you did 2 years ago, you might want to kind of relook and make sure you're still relevant and competitive compared to all the comps in your area. Is probably where I'd steer you.
So, is there any fear when it comes to midterm rentals, especially nurses, that it won't be in such a demand in the future because, like, yeah, we had the coronavirus and there was such a need for
Yeah.
those that
No, I'd love to address that. Yeah. So healthcare, this whole travel nurse thing, was here way before COVID. This is not an industry that was spun up because of the need during a pandemic. It just simply wasn't. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it will continue to be that even through 2030. If you look at SIA projections, um, so yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of looking at recent headlines and maybe like, oh gosh, the rates for travel nurses are declining. Well, yeah, they're declining because they were paying crisis rates because of a worldwide pandemic. Obviously, that
yeah.
wasn't systemic, but this industry is not going anywhere. Why would you have, so many successful medical staffing companies um, uh, going public and in this industry? It's they're we have baby boomers that are, in the next 3 years are going to consume so much healthcare resources
Yeah.
alone. Plus, we're facing with an aging healthcare staffing where they're, saying, "Hey, I'm retiring," and many did already. But there's another wave of mature nurses that are staffing. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but you know, nurses that have
Yeah.
been doing it for a while. Um, that
Experienced.
experience. Thank you so much. Jeez.
Uh,
uh,
so
but
what
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
so for Corona, I was curious, did your rent was it like at right here and then Corona happened, so everything jumped up. Are you seeing it going back down to your original price, or are they still just curious of your own personal rentals?
No, I
How
mean our
have you
rents
kind of
didn't jump. During COVID, it wasn't like, hey, let's gouge the travel nurses. That was
wasn't like the
definitely
gold rush, like jack it
no.
all
I
up?
I don't think so at all. I I didn't see that. I mean, maybe other people have different experiences, but company wide, we didn't see that. But we are tracking trends to where we occupancy and rents, right? So um,
Yeah.
and inventory. So there's just a flood of inventory, right? So if you have more competition, you know, rent prices might suffer. So, but it's very cyclical, very
Yeah.
cyclical. I mean, yeah.
So, kind of related back to like, let's say you're a new investor and you're just trying to get started. What would be your piece of advice for them? Like, let's say they want to do furnish rentals. Where would you tell them to something to look out for? Like, you should do this. Be careful of like, what would be your advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of resources out there already. I mean, we have a podcast that's called the Landlord Diaries by Furnished Finder, and you
I
can
like the
get it.
name.
And yeah, it's cool. And Kelly and Katie, they interview landlords like yourself, and maybe we can have you on, and you can tell your story. But um, we love stories. I mean, you mentioned very early in this conversation about the stories that you know that that we're hearing. We wanted to capture, and that's a place. So if you want to hear some success stories, some difficult stories, and how people overcame them, um, it's called Landlord Diaries, and you can get it anywhere. So I'd educate yourself there. I'd go to our resources. Furnishfinder.com/stats is a really good uh, resource where you can type in your area, and then you can get average rates, average rents, um, average, most frequent type of traveler, things like that. Make a decision on your area, saying, hey, how often are travelers coming to my area? Go to furnishfinder.com/stats for that one. What else? There's a lot. I would just say, um, read and educate yourself. There's an MTR conference, an MTR summit coming up at the end of April. That's with Jesse Vasquez. You could take a look at that. Um, what else? Like rookie mistakes. Like if you're just getting in, I'd say just hey, you know, try to get a place, get it furnished, and start this process. Like if you're interested in it, you can do it, and people are making enough money with a handful of properties to replace their income, their W-2 income.
Yeah.
So it can happen. This industry, I truly believe we've got with midterm rentals. I think what's happening is within short-term rentals is not going away. Like they're not going away, but you have a lot of city regulations that are coming down the pipe, and a lot of investors on the sidelines because they don't know what those cities are going to do. They don't know when they're going to like maybe lift the moratorium for short-term rental licenses. Um,
Yeah, it gets
for
very.
mid, yeah, it is right, but it's also scary. Like, okay, when do I pull the trigger as an investor? Well, you don't have to rely on the short-term rental strategy to pull the trigger. So, if your city defines short-term rentals as 30 days or less, well, guess what? With an average stay of 90 days, and we're a monthly rental platform, right? Monthly furnished rental platform. You don't necessarily, well, before I say it, I will say learn the rules, learn the regulations of your city.
Yeah.
Um, Not a lawyer, all those other disclosures, but you don't necessarily need a short term rental license for a midterm rental because by definition, it's not less than 30 days. So, yeah, get off the sideline when you can. I know money's hard to come by in terms of lending, it costs more. Um, but don't let that deter you. Get that property you had your eye on, and furnish it. Get it on Furnished Finder, and we're just going to start pumping you leads. You've got all the resources you need to be a landlord, and you can start making income. After a period of time, you get another place, and after another period of time, you can get another place, and before you know it, you're working because you want to, not
Yeah.
because you have to.
And just for everyone listening on Instagram Live, I keep getting blown up on my phone. I know the video is messed up, but it's also available on YouTube at Money Buys Freedom Pop. But kind of get right back into it. So a lot of people's fear is, let's say, like you have to put all the furnish in there. Is how, like, even for yourself, was it hard for you to kind of get started? Because you had all those resources, you knew all these people. A lot of people's first experience is very nerve wracking. They're like not sure what to do.
Right.
What would be, should they go like all out with furnishing a place? What would be your advice for them?
Yeah,
Like, hey,
just go
just, you don't gotta go
mid.
crazy. Just,
Yeah, don't go crazy. It's called midterm rentals. You should go right in the middle. Like, it shouldn't be cheap. It doesn't have to be super expensive modern masterpiece type of place either. Like IKEA is great, you know, they're very sturdy. I would say one thing not to skimp on would be the mattress. Like get a very, very solid mattress
yeah,
because it's going to, if you cheap out now, you're going to be replacing it in a year, and and then it could affect your ratings and such like that. So I would definitely, that would be the one thing I would not cheap out on. But you definitely don't have to spend, depending on the place. I think anywhere between 6,500 and $10,000 for furniture for maybe a modest 1 or 2 bedroom place, um,
yeah.
maybe even more. Um, I think you can absolutely do that.
Yeah, you can furnish things pretty cheap, and I'm like one of the cheapest persons there is. And most of the furniture we have in our house and even some of our midterm rentals we found at thrift stores and on the side of the road of really rich neighborhoods. They just throw everything.
I love
They
that. I
just throw
love that.
everything away.
There you go.
So yeah,
Well,
you
I
can.
mean, we do Facebook Marketplace from time to time, and you can see when something's really well made. Like some of those old
Yeah,
dressers, like they're indestructible, right? You can refinish them, put a coat of paint on them, and it's like, holy smokes, this piece that I bought for $100, somebody probably bought it for 2,000, in the 80s or nine or 70s or whatever. Could be an
Yeah.
antique, I don't know, but yeah, you can do a lot if you're creative. I went over to a friend of ours, and they've got a place on our platform as well, and um, I think she may challenge you for that crown of I don't know what she would
I don't
call it,
know.
the
I think
cheapest
it's
person.
you
I
have
don't
to
know.
ask my wife.
She says she's Dutch, so she says no, we're the thriftiest people out there. Um, anyway, she showed me what she did with her basement, and she was so proud of, like, yep, I found this, I refinished this. She furnished her whole basement for like $1,200. I was like,
Yeah.
holy smokes, you're crazy. That's amazing, and it looked beautiful.
Even especially like even if you go to like thrift stores and you can find furniture, like a lot of times they just need to be like painted and they look brand new. Like they're all like solid wood, like really nice
It's true.
furnitures. So you can
Yeah.
definitely find cheap ways to do things and to
Yeah,
look good.
yeah,
So
definitely. You don't have to blow out the budget to make this happen, guys. Truly.
yeah.
Um, one other thing I would say is, if you're thinking about getting a place, um, some places don't always have washer and dryer inside them, especially if it's in a like a condo type of thing. Try to find a place with laundry inside it.
Yeah.
That because that kind of is a differentiator if that's an opportunity to do so. That's usually a kind of a game changer.
So for furnished rentals and you have to find your cleaners and stuff like this. Glad you mentioned that. What's the best way to find and build your team out? Like say you because you I know Airbnb and short-term rentals, you live and die by your cleaner. And I'm sure it's the same way for midterm rentals.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
what is that
what
like?
we did, yeah, we just you have to have a team. Again, here we are, systems and processes, right? So you have to have a team and a system in place. That's what's going to give you the lifestyle of freedom that you want.
Yeah.
It's not about you doing it yourself. And sure, you go out, change the light bulb, fix this, and hey, I'm this by trade. That's fine. It's good, and you can do that work yourself. But the more units you have, do you want to?
Yeah.
So yeah, try to differentiate, push yourself out of that operations role and rely and build a team. And that way, when you're, taking your wife to Hawaii and something happens, because it will, I promise,
Yeah.
then you have a solution going, no problem. We're going to get that taken care of. You reach out to your team lead and say, hey, I need plumber out there right away. We need to fix this and that. And you get it done. And in between sips of your Mai Tai. Like, so think about it from of where you want to be, not necessarily where you are now.
So what's the best like I know you're a midterm rental, you probably still buy properties. What do you like to buy for midterm rentals? Like what do you see? Like what do you think like for you, what's the sweet spot for like do you look for like, hey, I want like you talked at the beginning, you're like studios, one ones, like what are you looking for specifically?
Yeah, I'm looking for a deal that you can get in, you can get command rent and make a profit. So
I
if
gotcha.
if that's a one bedroom, one bath, then
Yeah.
that's what it is. If it's a 3 bedroom, two bath, that's what it is. You're gonna
So
fill it
yeah, I
regardless.
got you. So I know I've taken up a lot of your time. What's the if you had to leave someone for the last piece of advice before we hop off here, what would you say for them as an entrepreneur to get started? Because a lot of people have the fear of being an entrepreneur to get started. Like you put all your eggs in one basket, making your dream a reality. Like what fears do you have to overcome just to do that? Because
Yeah,
I'm sure like halfway through you're like when you and your wife were your wife was mentioning to you like I don't know if this is gonna work like
yeah,
kind of that.
yeah. I would say know your why, right? Know why you're doing it. Have a good idea. Be nimble. If something's not right, you're probably right, and you probably need to fix it and quick. So you need to pivot really fast and don't die on the stake to a business model that's not working. right?
Yeah.
Pivot, make changes very quickly, and you'll live and you'll make it. But the ones that are very prideful, no, I'm only going to do it this way, and then if you're not getting traction, it can definitely lead down the wrong road as an entrepreneur. Um, yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. What is your why?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was losing my family because I was at Boston Scientific and we talked about the
Yeah.
lifestyle. And I said, like, I have to do something else. And my why was very personal to me, and
Yeah.
saying, well, my wife knew how I made a living, which was, being a pacemaker and defibrillator rep and assisting the cardiologist and electrophysiologist in surgeries and going on and checking the patients. But it was always demanding, and it was n- never not relentless.
Yeah.
So that was taking a toll. So yeah, I just couldn't live like that anymore. I was very grateful for that position, truly. But I couldn't live like that anymore, and I needed a change, and I needed to do something. So that was my why. And then I just tried to take what I had, right? Um, my love of real estate, I already had properties. I knew about travel nurses and renting to them, and just trying to organically just build what I was very interested in. Um, so I think my why was really personal to me, and it
Yeah.
should it
Time,
should be
freedom.
for you too. Yeah, time and freedom. I mean, you said money buys freedom,
Yeah.
right there above us. So it's incredibly important, and I was very willing to take a huge pay cut, and I did at Boston Scientific for a better quality of life, but it was unsustainable, right? So I needed to do something in order to buy that freedom that you're talking about. And although it got worse, and although it got harder before it got easier, um, we did it together, and
Yeah.
it was it it brought us closer. It brought us closer to God, because we just like, oh, please, God, right? But no, truly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Very grateful for this journey.
So I
And
got
yeah.
so I have this friend. He was all about business. He quit his job to have more freedom, but then to chase entrepreneur life, and then to come find out he has less time running his business than he did when he was working his job. So
Systems.
how do you find the balance between
I
what
mean,
you
you
can
can't do it.
give?
Don't do it yourself. Don't trade job for a job. You're building a business, right? You have to rely on your people, build systems, get the data, make decisions based on that. And when you see something, then you have your team implement it.
Yeah,
um, if you're so busy and you are instrumental to your business, how can you sell that? Because they're going to say, well, no, we need you, because all of your customers need you. Try to take you out of the equation. How are you going to enjoy your time on your anniversary trip to Hawaii if you
yeah,
can't
because you
take
own a
you out of the equation?
business.
Right. Don't trade a job for another job.
Yeah,
Think
so,
differently this time.
yeah, exactly. I think like they always say, yeah, everyone wants to chase money, money, money. But at the end of the day, you can always get more money. You can never get back more time. So it's like times like you miss. Like I have little kids, so it's like I will never get those times. So it's like this money that I'm trying to chase all right now isn't worth um all this time that I'll never get back, and because I don't know what how much time I'm guaranteed. And
No, nobody knows the time. Nobody knows the day. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us.
yeah,
So I appreciate that.
yeah, it definitely puts life in perspective because I mean, we only have limited amount of time with our friends, family, and I love money and business more than as much as anyone. So it's still you got to find the balance on what's important.
Yeah.
So just to, and this is kind of gonna be a weird question. Do you have like for your own personal like your goals? Like, hey, this is faith, family, business, friends, do you have like a list of like what's priority list in your life? I know I'm getting
I mean, yeah,
into it.
God's as you probably heard, God's really important in my life, and this whole journey has kind of improved my relationship with God, and so yeah, I mean, I think He's at the core of everything that I do. So it's like I think everything is His, and that's how we approach our business together, combined.
Yeah.
The partners, we all feel like that, like, hey, this is all His, and we need to be faithful stewards, good stewards of His blessings. And so yeah, that's how we approach it. And I think if we kind of live with our hands open and being you know very willing to give and help um, other
Yeah.
people, I think
I'm
it's
really
that's
glad
the
I'm really glad you mentioned that because I'm a Christian. I really believe in the Bible and all this. But I think when just relating it to business, he gave us like the blueprint
mm,
because he came down and his goal was to serve, 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 serve. And I think that's like showing us what we need to do. I've gotten way more
love that.
joy out of life by helping other people doing for myself because for me, like I bought two houses last week and it didn't mean anything to me. But for me,
Yeah.
me helping a bunch of people buy houses as an agent or something like that, like I get so much joy from like
Right.
helping other people than
Yep.
more than I do myself. And I think if more people believe that and followed that, I think those that would be more
Yeah.
help people be more successful. And especially with yours, your whole business model is how do I help these people between the nurse to the agent? How do I serve both these people? And getting more people will help make y'all more
Yeah.
profitable. So
Yeah, and
it's
we
like a
truly
round cycle.
love it. It is. It really is, and I appreciate what you said. And um, yeah, I mean, we don't even. Everybody says, "Oh, how do you measure success?" And it could all yes, it could definitely be your bank account, but I think we look at it like how much did we give away
Yeah.
in 2022? How much are we going to give away in 2023? Be very intentional about about that. And that was one of our lessons that we learned. And I think, yeah, I'm glad that we learned that lesson early.
And I think even me as going this podcast, talking to all these amazing entrepreneurs and business people and extremely wealthy people, I've learned that I think a lot of people have this misconception of like kind of wealthy people that they had to screw people over to get way to
Sure.
the top. So I think me talking to everyone, it's like they have to have that servant mindset. It's how do I help serve these people, because the more people they serve really helps make them more
Yeah.
successful. Because I feel like a
It's
lot of people in business are like, oh, how do I make
it's
me
well
wealthy? How to
said.
make me
Like
wealthy?
once you build something like that, then it's like, okay, you, not only are you relying on your team, right?
Yeah,
But they're relying on you, and their families are relying on you, and the landlords are relying on you, and the travelers are relying on you. So yeah, we have to take that servant mindset and be there and improve and help and build and all of that for not only the customers and the travelers that kind of make Furnished Finder run, but everybody behind the scenes that run Furnished Finder.
so I have one probably my last question. But
Probably.
so when you were at Boston Scientific, then you went an entrepreneur, you probably had subcontractors and stuff like this, but when you started Furnished Finder, you said you had like 100 and something employees. How did that like mindset and feeling of internally, like now you're responsible for like a
Yeah.
hundred some
Well,
people's
that's what I'm saying. I mean,
well-being and
not when
life? It's like,
yeah, not when we started by any means, but we
yeah,
grew to that. And yeah, it changes things for you. Like you have to think differently, and you think differently as a bootstrap, just trying to prove out your concept. And
yeah,
then say you start scaling, you start getting some traction, and then you start getting to zero, and you start actually being profitable. You can't do this by yourself. So yeah, you know, um, you depend on those people, and there's just no way you cannot see it in that your team depends on you. So you need to produce. You
Did
need
that
you mean
pressure?
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's also your my why as well, and your why can change, but that's my why too. I stare at the faces of my reps, employees, IT team, tech team, quality team, sales, customer service, HR, all of that, and their faces are ingrained in, and so everything that I do, even right now, I'm thinking about them.
So did that ever get to a point where that was kind of overwhelming? It's like,
It
hey, I
can,
have to succeed because I got these hundred something employees that I can't let down. Need this job for
yeah,
their life. It's like so much pressure, and
it
maybe you never
can,
thought
but
about this. Now you think about it now, but
yeah, it can get overwhelming, but you're in this position like for a reason.
yeah.
Meaning, you had the idea, you had, um, um, you were able to bring it to market. You've got this far. You're in this position for a reason. You have the talent, you have the gifts, um, and the team and everything else in order to do what you've set out to do. So you're in this position for a reason. But yeah, it can get overwhelming sometimes, but don't entertain the thought too much. Just put your head down and do what you're here to do.
So is that like what's your when things get really tough, you just head down and push through it?
Yeah, I mean you're solving solutions. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you're solving problems and you're finding solutions. That's what you're doing.
But so just to end everything here, but what if people wanted to get more a hold of you, or had an issue, say they had an issue with like Furnished Finder, they had stuff that they knew they think that could help improve. Is there a way for them to like reach out to like, hey, do you have like
Yeah.
a resource for
Yeah,
that?
at the very bottom of every page is contact us. We read all of
Yeah.
those. So lob it in there. We want to hear from you. How should we improve?
Yeah.
Indeed, reach out to your customer service rep. You can go online and create a ticket. You can call us. We have 150 reps that are here to help you, um, and we're open every day.
Careful what you ask for. You have tons of them, but I appreciate you coming on and really sharing your mission and your why and your journey. It's been very impactful for me, and I definitely learned a lot. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions or improvements, just furnace finder in the bottom, just let them know.
Yeah,
So,
please do. Please do.
but does it ever get like personal, like when let's say like people like, hey, you should do this, you should do this, or do you ever get like a? I mean, most people are like, let's say they're stressed about like maybe a site or something like that. Do you ever get like a lot of? Does your people ever get frustrated with a lot of maybe hate that comes through there? I mean, there's
I
hateful
mean,
people everywhere.
everybody's everybody. You can't. I guess how do I answer that? Our customer service team are incredibly empathetic. I mean, everybody's going through. You don't know what I'm going through, Tyler, and I don't know what you're
Yeah,
going through, and a rep doesn't know what a person's going through on the other end. Yes, they could be upset. They could be thrilled because if anybody has any problems or questions, there's the equal number or more that are just absolutely thrilled with the site and what they're producing, right? So I would just say, yeah, reach out to the reps and they're here to solve your problems. They're here to help.
yeah.
Um, and again, that's the mindset we take. Is that
I
we're
love that you said
Yeah,
that. You said think from the other person's perspective, because I feel like that's what a lot of people just don't do. Because that's like for me, I don't ever judge anyone because how do I know if I didn't wasn't in their shoes going through what their issues, their problems, their situation that I wouldn't think the same exact way. So I love
right.
that you said that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. We have a lot of, we've got a very sizable amount of landlords that say they're empty nesters, say. and they're not fantastic with technology. Some are
Yeah.
amazing, and some aren't. And they're like, okay, how do I do that? How do I attach a file? Where are my files?
Yeah.
How do I get the pictures? Do I just take a picture and send it to you? Sometimes even in our mailbox, we'll get um, uh, some the sweetest people will send us in like pictures that they print out at home and or put pictures in an envelope and send them to us. I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. Please help this person, you know.
Yeah, I
So
got you.
yeah, everybody's different, but yeah, you just have to kind of put yourself in their shoes, be empathetic in everything you do, but um,
So you are
ultimately,
constantly trying to make it more like um almost like dummy proof, like where it makes it like almost
yeah, we
impossible
do
to.
have that, and we know we have a long way to go, and we're not perfect, but we do owe it to our customers and users, and in that, yeah, it's our job to improve the UI and UX of the site in
Yeah.
user experience, user interface, indeed, all the time.
Yeah. Because that's actually, I think, the only thing I've ever heard like as a negative feedback was like them trying to figure out uh some of the things like where to put stuff and everything. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
personally use it. My wife is the property manager, and I have another partner who's the property manager on the other property. So I don't deal with any of that stuff. So that's my work life balance,
I get you.
segregating to my team.
I
But
get
I
you.
do appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
Um, I've learned so much, and I really appreciate it. So.
that's awesome. Okay, appreciate the time.